Like geek movies, superheroes, fantasy, science fiction, books, games. I may or may not have played Dungeons and Dragons in like top tier leagues for, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 years, traveling around the country.
This lovely thing here is the 4 elements from Avatar, The Last Airbender. Really love that show. It's not just for kids.
Anime, I also like some video games like Skyrim. I'm a Khajiit, which is a cat, basically cat-humanish thing.
But I always kind of like playing Rifts, Werewolf, D&D, but at the same time I like to party and things like that. So as the years progressed, I came out of the nerd closet and I was comfortable in my own skin.
What is geek? Whilst my friends are really into it and my boyfriend, I'm not quite understanding what it is. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's huge. People all over the world, and especially in the United States, are obsessed with it. They have conventions, they dress up, they buy stuff. It's huge. If you want to be cool, be a geek right now. Yet I don't always understand it. I grew up kind of in an unconventional manner where my friends put it, I grew up Amish. Most of my summers looked more like Little House on the Prairie than your typical family vacation. No joke, we had a covered wagon in the front yard when I was growing up. As teenagers, my sister somehow got on the geek train, but I completely missed the station.
I have my fandom of Harry Potter, but I didn't get into, which is like just the tip of the iceberg. Like everyone has a fandom for Harry Potter.
Well, everyone's Harry Potter. It's Harry Potter.
Yeah, but you're into comic books, you're into the gaming, you're into the Dungeons and Dragons, and I mean, so like, what am I? How do I even fit on this?
See, you're the type of nerd/geek that nerds/geeks like me beat up. We shove you guys in lockers.
That's nice. Especially since being a geek is cool now.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
My first stop in understanding geek was at the Denver Comic Con, where over 100,000 people attend each year to meet some of their favorite celebrities that contribute to geek culture in some manner or another, whether they're artists or authors, sometimes they're movie stars. Comic-Con was fun, don't get me wrong, but I kind of left the whole thing very confused as to what I had just experienced. Everywhere were people in costumes, people selling things. And to me, it just all felt like a very corporate, media-frenzied, materialistic event. The panels we went to were interesting and educational, but I didn't quite connect with things. So I thought I'd turn to some experts. I turned to Danny Castillo, who uses the fun and art of geekery in her college classes at Colorado State University.
Like some of my assignments are definitely geeky, and when students can't find what to do their assignments on, we do a project on info posters and infographics, and I have them do info posters on zombie apocalypse and dragons and pirates and stuff that is kind of cool. I have worked for the video game industry. I have done other commission work that deals with the industry of geekdom, and I think it's fascinating. I think that there are a lot of work opportunities out there because of that, and I think that it should not be discounted, and I think it should be embraced. Like, I have never been embarrassed to say I'm a complete geek. My best anecdote about that, it was about 8 years ago. I was in California, and it was the first day of class, and I was standing in the front of the class, and a guy walks in, and he looks me up and down, and he's like, "Oh, you must be the D&D player, not the Venezuelan singer." And I was like, "What?" Clearly he Googled me. There is a Venezuelan singer with my name, and at the time, the first hits that you got with my name were either a Venezuelan singer or me playing at Gen Con at 4 a.m. on some hallway in costume. Long story. Anyway, so yeah, I don't have a problem. I mean, it's helped me a lot in my career, and it has really helped me find enjoyment in a lot of the things I do.
And in the more historical sense of geekery, talk to Dr. Robert Jordan, who uses his love of video games like Minecraft to recreate towns from the past.
As well as digital history. And with digital history, what that entails is looking at the use of computational methods, social media, the Web 2.0, virtual spaces, all as means of exploring and publishing and sharing historical knowledge. I'm a big believer in virtual space as a place for really deep learning and understanding. And that comes from always being a huge video game nerd and always really having had very profound experiences, historical experiences inside of games as I've grown up on that. So as that becomes more widely available and the price point has dropped down, it's possible to then use that in the classroom, or as well even consider having longer-term, larger-scale projects based on a government grant to help create a public history project for the public to engage with and explore and understand those spaces which may or may not exist anymore. For a lot of people, not just digital history, but I think for a lot of people, video games are a portal to understanding history and getting an interest in history, whether it's those kind of turn-based civilization style, Command and Conquer kind of style, old even, old Warcraft kind of stuff, where you're building a civilization, understanding what the various economies and military strategies and all religion and all that stuff is being built into it. So I think for a lot of people, even something as simple as Oregon Trail, which a lot of us played in elementary school, was some of our first moments to step outside our own personal experience and imagine what it must have been like as a person a certain period ago, and have to make, not only to understand what it was like to be them, but to make the daily kind of decisions, or to kind of immerse yourself in that kind of daily lived world that people had. I think that was probably one of the more profound experiences I think a lot of us had growing up that way, and still do. I think they still use Oregon Trail in some schools then.
Academic reasons aside, I decided to talk to some people that just use geek stuff for leisure.
It is a good community because you can geek out about things and just go on all these conversations that mean nothing to anyone else. It's the most fun, especially when people look at you weirdly. I just have a lot of fun when that happens.
I was about 4 or 5 when I first was able to really start messing with the computer. We had one of those old ancient Macintosh Solo systems that was a knockoff for my stepbrother. He had already messed it up enough that he didn't want it anymore, so they just put it in my room, and started with that and never ever really stopped. We found out how much real life actually sucks. It really came down to a form of not only recreation but escapism. Depending on what you play or whatever genres or games or stories you like, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that it's really easy to kind of take yourself away from all the mundane crap that really might be bothering you and put yourself somewhere far away, or far into the future, or far into the past. And the best thing about video games is when you're done with them, you just turn them off.
A lot of things make me geek.
The more I talk to people, the more I realize, and according to Jenna Brown, a lot of things can make you geek. It's not just video games or superheroes.
Plant identification and ecology. I like Buddhism and quantum physics. I like some video games. I like books.
My next stop in exploring geek culture was Dungeons & Drafts, opening in Fort Collins, Colorado. It caters to geek culture by providing game tables and quirky-themed foods and drinks. It's a pub, but it's also a family-friendly restaurant where people of all ages and geeks of all backgrounds can come and enjoy it.
Melissa and I are both huge Skyrim nerds, and we like Lord of the Rings, so we didn't want to make it full-on themed where people come in and, are commanded to wear fantasy-type outfits. However, if we are going to be working here all hours of the day, we want a place that feels really nice and cozy. Every other thing, sport, popular trends, hobbies, they all focus on community. It's the same thing here. It's all about community and building a place where people can feel welcome. And not only that, but had a place like this existed about 10 years ago when we were we had our foot out of the nerd closet, then we probably would have jumped in. And I think there's a lot of people that are interested, but they don't want to really feel ridiculed or anything. Not just, it doesn't necessarily have to be about food or drink, but come back and know that they are, accepted not by people that just want their money, but people that generally want to build community, want a place where they can come and hang out and just know that, the horde is growing. Yeah.
Okay. With all this information, I came to realize that being a geek is really just embracing what you love and finding a community to share it with. Sure, most of my friends probably aren't as big of Charlie Chaplin fans as I am, but at least they appreciate my quirkiness for it.
But no, I don't think anybody should be ashamed of. It's a very, very awesome escape. Like a very constructive and very creative escape. It really helps foster imagination in children. So I believe very strongly that it should definitely be pushed and put out there in every language and every culture.
I think that every type of geek is okay. I mean, I can't go outside with being like, oh, that plant is a such and such. Its scientific name is blah, 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 blah. And that's okay.
Kind of the community within the geek community is just mostly very positive, I think. And so it's fun being a part of that. And I think being able to speak that language with my students provides an additional connection there and makes me more of a human being than this guy at the front of the classroom, who's yelling at you all day. So I'm one of you.